Welcome to Warriors.com. Sitting down today with General Manager Larry Riley just a little over a week before the draft. And Larry, with this draft coming up very closely, where are you in the evaluation process? Where do you stand?
We're getting a whole lot closer, and we're not finished. There will be some decisions to be made, and it may come down to where we get to the spot where we're picking, and you'll have a choice, and we hope that it comes down that way. We like some of the players that could be there at 11, which is where we are right now, but there's some things to be done yet. We're closing in on it. Who knows what may happen, but we have a focus for what could happen at that pick.
When you project that pick, you certainly have a list of names, so I would imagine you have them in priority, and if that person is there, you're going to take that number one or the number two that you have, whatever. Or somebody who was projected, a lot like Stephen Curry, who was projected to go earlier, might fall into your lap. Then you change your plan and go with him.
That's exactly right. It can happen, and we did see it happen. You hit on the main one, Stephen Curry. We didn't see that coming till almost 48 hours before the draft. And of course we knew him, we knew what we thought of him, but you do have to plan that something a little bit out of the ordinary could happen, which could affect you, and you have to be ready for anything that could happen like that.
With all of the resources that you have and all of the personnel involved in bringing the players to your attention, you've got the scouts all season long, you've got video personnel that bring it together, that put it before you, you've got assistant coaches, you've got your own front office people, along with you and Travis Schlink and now Bob Myers and of course Jerry West. What do you value the most in all of that process? How do you bring that together?
We've been fortunate to have accumulated a group of guys who have an opinion. And as far as that staff is concerned, there's nobody who's going to sit in our room and say, well, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. They'll all come straight to me with an opinion, and that's what I want to hear. Now, if it varies, that's okay. If somebody disagrees, that's okay. We'll make a decision, but we hopefully will have covered every possibility in terms of what would be the strong points or weak points of any player that we might draft. And when you talk about weak points, you're going to say, okay, can this guy get better in a certain area? So to me, it's the candor, it's the conversation, and then this conversation, of course, is based upon having seen these people play, and we go with statistics some, but we go a whole lot more with what we see with our own eyes.
Yeah, because you've had people come in, and that's probably the most valuable asset, I would believe, to see them work out.
The workout is really helpful. I'm even more concerned about seeing them play in a college basketball game or in some setting. The finishing part of it is really the workout that takes place here. I would draft a player who hasn't worked out here if necessary. And I believe enough in what we've been able to accumulate over the year, and sometimes 2 years or 3 years, depending on how long the player has been in college. I'll put more stock in that than a workout that occurs here, and I'd love to have the workout here, but I'm more about what we've actually seen in game competition. We do see some practices that players are involved in, and we've had a good relationship, as many teams do, with college coaches, where you can go watch a guy practice, you can watch him play. Those things are really important to me.
This organization has added 3 big parts in the last month. All of a sudden things coming together, first with Bob Myers working alongside you, and then the great Jerry West in an advisory capacity, and just most recently naming Mark Jackson as the head coach. How do you bring all of them together in such a short time that you can get on the same page?
The biggest thing is to just be able to sit down and to exchange thoughts and to exchange ideas. I thought it was important to have a comfort level with whoever we hired as our head coach. I thought that I thought we had to start there. Now, will it grow? Of course it will. But if you have too much hesitation and too many question marks, you can't get off to a good start. We eliminated that because Mark Jackson was the guy that we felt could do that. He's comfortable with us, we're comfortable with him. Jerry West has been around so long, he can sit down with anybody, and he's not going to have any discomfort. And the good thing for us is we have a board member in Jerry that we can run something by from time to time and get a good opinion.
Recently I've seen comments made by you. I've listened to you, in fact, in some other interviews, and I sense I don't know, there's a sense of excitement that you're going to be working with Mark Jackson as the head coach. I sense that enthusiasm.
It's really there. We did an extensive search, and Joe and I pretty much arrived on the same day at the conclusion, okay, it's time to choose a coach. And so we got there and we thought the facts aren't going to change. We've talked to a lot of people, and Mark Jackson's enthusiasm is infectious. And that's a great thing, and I'm excited to be bringing a guy into this organization who is going to command the respect of the players immediately. He's a guy who isn't afraid to throw it out there that we're going to be successful, and I think this organization has needed that.
You know, getting back to the draft, we all focus on your first pick, the number 11 pick, but you also have a second-round pick and number 44. Is it safe to say that you do just as much work and there's effort going into choosing someone in that second round, because you can find some jewels there?
Our staff will work diligently on that pick, and I personally can't get to all 60 guys that are going to be drafted in the course of the season. There's a good likelihood I will have seen that person play in some venue or another, because there were things that happened this year where there was a camp in New Jersey that I'm pretty sure our second pick at 44 was in there, so I've seen him play. Probably was at Chicago also, but that's a situation now that's more about drills and shooting and limited competition. So I'll have some knowledge of that guy, but our staff will have great knowledge of him. That it's really important that if you could just grab somebody at 44 that makes your team and makes you better, whether it's this year or 3 years down the road, maybe every third year you get a guy out of the second round that makes your team and makes you better. We need to do that.
Let's project ahead another week, and your day before that draft, and that war room is there, and you get all the personnel. Who all's in there, and what is it like in the war room as it comes down to making a decision?
I would think that most of our discussions have already taken place by then, and there are some knocking around, so to speak, that has taken place before that. One person giving an opinion, another person giving an opinion. You have maybe two sides of an issue, or one guy likes a player, one guy doesn't like a player. I think all of that we've been through by the time we head into that last day. One of the things we do try to do is stay up with the NBA players throughout the course of the season, because one of the ingredients that comes along with this draft is the possibility of a trade. So you got to be on top of the NBA players, because they can be involved in a trade that might involve your draft pick or something like that. So if something were presented to us, we could make a decision on it. We'd be a little bit cautious if it was a late presentation.
Larry, thank you very much for your thoughts and information regarding this year's draft, and of course, the best of luck.
Thank you, Jim.